Imagine this, a mineral that weighs only about 20 milligrams in your entire body. Yet, if you are deficient in it, child may suffer permanent brain damage, adults can develop goiter, and your body's metabolism slows down dramatically. What is this tiny but powerful mineral? It is the iodine. In today's lecture, you will understand iodine conceptually, not by memorizing facts, but by understanding why every point is clinically important. Before we begin, let me tell you why MBBS students should never ignore the iodine. This topic is frequently asked in university exams under mineral nutrition. It's also clinically important because iodine deficiency remains one of the leading preventable causes intellectual disability worldwide. If you understand iodine, you will automatically understand thyroid hormones, goiter, hypothyroidism, and many endocrine disorders much more easily. So let's begin from the basics. Here is the first interesting fact that the total amount of the iodine present in the entire human body is only 20 milligrams. That's less than the body weight of the grain of the rice. But here's the surprising part, almost 80% of iodine is stored inside the thyroid gland. The remaining iodine is present in tissues like salivary glands, muscles, ovaries. Now think, why does thyroid store so much iodine? Because the iodine is essential raw material needed to manufacturing the thyroid hormones. That is simply, thyroid gland cannot produce enough T3 and T4 without the iodine. Can our body manufacture iodine? No. It is an essential dietary mineral. That means we must obtain it from food. Now the next question is, how much iodine do we actually need every day? This answer is surprisingly small. Adults require approximately 100 to 150 microgram per day, and pregnant women require 200 micrograms per day. Why does pregnancy increase the requirement? Because the mother is producing the thyroid hormones not only for herself but also for developing baby also, especially during early fetal brain development. This is why iodine deficiency during pregnancy can have serious consequences for the fetus. Pregnancy increases, then the iodine requirement commonly tested fact. Now let's talk about where iodine comes from. The richest natural source is the seafood. Why? Because the oceans naturally contain abundant iodine. Other sources include drinking water, vegetables, and fruits. However, here is something very important. People living in high altitude or mountains regions often have iodine deficient soil. So, soil lacks iodine. Plant grown there also contains less iodine. As a result, living in those regions more likely having the iodine deficiency. And this is exactly why many countries introduced ionized salt. Adding iodine to table salt is one of the most successful public health measures in the world. It has prevented millions of cases of iodine deficiency disorders. Here is the memory trick. C is from iodine and mountain has its deficiency. Now imagine you have eaten iodized salt, and where does iodine go? Most dietary iodine is absorbed in our small intestine. Your notes also mention that very small amount may be absorbed through the skin and lungs, but small intestine is the major site. After absorption, iodine enters the bloodstream and is transported to the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is actively taps iodine because it needs it to produce thyroid hormones. Is not a rocket science. From the food, it goes to small intestine, then the blood, then it's captured by the thyroid gland and produces T3 and T4. Here is another favorite exam point. Is iodine stored as a free iodine inside the thyroid? No. It is stored in an organic form called as the iodothyoglobulin. Think of the thyroglobulin as a storage warehouse where iodine waits until the body needs thyroid hormones. Now ask yourself, what happens to excess iodine? Major route of the excretion of the iodine is through urine by the kidneys, and small amounts are also excreted in saliva, bile, skin, and breast milk. This explains why breastfeeding mothers need adequate iodine intake. The infant depends on the breast milk as a source of the iodine. Let's do quick revision. Total body iodine is 20 mg, 80% stored in the thyroid gland. Adult needs 100 to 150 microgram per day. Pregnant woman needs 200 microgram per day. Major sources: seafood, drinking water, vegetable, fruits, and iodized salt. Main absorption site is small intestine, stored as iodothyroglobulin, mainly excreted through the kidneys. And then we will see, so far we have understood where iodine comes from, how it absorbed, where it is stored, and how it leaves the body. But here's the question: how do doctors know whether the body has enough iodine? Can we simply measure iodine in the blood? Let's find out. Normally, the plasma iodine is the concentration is approximately 4 to 10 microgram per dl, and but there's something interesting: the most iodine circulating in the blood is not present as the free iodine. Instead, it is attached to the thyroid hormones like T3 and T4. This is known as protein bound iodine, means PBI. Why was PBI measured? Before modern thyroid function tests become available, doctors used PBI as an indirect way to estimate thyroid hormone levels. Today, we mainly use TSH, free T3 and free T4, but PBI is still an important exam concept. Now let's apply some logic. Suppose the thyroid gland produces very little T3 and T4. What will happen to protein bound iodine? It will also decrease. Therefore, in hypothyroidism, PBI is decreased. Now imagine the opposite. Same, if in excessive T3 and T4, PBI increases. More iodine bound proteins, therefore in hyperthyroidism, PBI increases. Less hormone production, PPI decreases. More hormone production, PBI increases. Remember, iron belongs to the hemoglobin and iodine belongs to the thyroid hormone. Now let's discuss what happens when the iodine metabolism becomes abnormal. The three important disorders mentioned in your notes are the simple goiter, toxic goiter, and the endemic goiter. What happens if the thyroid gland doesn't receive enough iodine? Can it still make T3 and T4? No. Without iodine, thyroid hormone production decreases. Now think about what the brain does. The pituitary gland detects low thyroid hormones. It produces response and releases TSH hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, and TSH continuously stimulates the thyroid gland. The gland tries harder and harder to produce hormones. As a result, it enlarges, and its enlarged thyroid gland is called as the goiter. First, the iodine deficiency, T3 and T4 decreases, TSH increases, thyroid enlargement, and found the goiter. Simple goiter occurs due to failure in normal regulation of T3 and T4 synthesis, commonly because of the iodine deficiency. Your notes also mention that excess iodine may disturb thyroid function. In some situations, although iodine deficiency is the most common cause worldwide. A patient comes with swelling in front of neck. Before saying it's thyroid tumor, always think about the goiter. Star point. Now let's move to the toxic goiter. Here's the important difference in simple goiter: and the gland enlarges because it's trying to produce enough hormones, but in toxic goiter, enlarged thyroid also produces excess thyroid hormones. So patient develops the symptoms of the hyperthyroidism such as weight loss despite good appetite, heat intolerance, and sweating, palpitations, tremors, anxiety. Students often confuse simple goiter and toxic goiter. Simple goiter means only enlargement, and in toxic goiter, enlargement plus excess hormone production. Now let's discuss the public health problem. Suppose an entire village lives in area where the soil and water is with very less iodine. What happens? The many people living in that region develop goiter, and this condition is called as the endemic goiter. It is commonly seen in mountain regions where iodine has been washed away from the soil over many years. Simplest and most effective treatment is use iodized salt. This is the one of the easiest and most successful preventive strategies in medicine. Whenever you hear mountain region, they immediately think iodine deficiency, and that is the endemic goiter. Let's revise. Normal plasma iodine is 4 to 10 microgram per dl. Most circulating iodine form is protein bound iodine PBI. PBI less in hypothyroidism, increases in hyperthyroidism. Iodine is not present in hemoglobin. Iodine is simple goiter when thyroid enlargement due to inadequate hormone synthesis. In toxic goiter, enlarged thyroid producing excess hormones, and in endemic goiter, iodine deficiency affecting the entire geographical region. Part 3, we will see biochemical functions. So far, we have answered three important questions. Where does iodine come from? How it is absorbed? How it is stored? What diseases occur when iodine metabolism is disturbed? But here's the biggest question: why does the body need iodine at all? What exactly would happen if the iodine disappeared from the human body? Let's understand the answer. Many students memorize the functions of the iodine as instead remember just one sentence. The main function of iodine is to produce thyroid hormones 3, T3 and T4. Everything else happens because of these hormones. If thyroid hormones are absent, almost every organ in the body slows down. The most important biochemical function of the iodine is synthesis of the T3 and T4. Iodine to the cap trapped by the thyroid gland and produces T3 and T4. Think of the iodine as a cement used to build a house. No house, similarly, without iodine, no thyroid hormones. Now here's the something examiners love to ask. If both hormones are produced, which one is more active? T3 is more active than the T4. Actually, the opposite is true. T3 is biologically more active hormone. T4 is mainly act as a storage or a prohormone. Many tissues convert T3, T4 into T3 according to body's need. So remember, T4 is reserve and T3 is a real work. T3 is a 3 times more active. Although not mathematically accurate, this helps to remember that T3 is an active hormone. Now imagine your body is a huge factory. Every second millions of chemical reactions occur. Who controls the speed of these reactions? Thyroid hormones. They regulate energy production, oxygen consumption, protein synthesis, fat metabolism, carbohydrate metabolism. In simple words, determines how fast your body engine runs. In hypothyroidism, body's engine slows down. Patient feel tired, cold, constipated, gain weights easily. In hyperthyroidism, the engine runs too fast. Patient develop weight loss, heat tolerance, excessive sweating, palpitations, and the tremors. Can thyroid hormones affect the brain? Absolutely. And this is one of the most important functions. This is probably the most clinical important function of the iodine during the pregnancy. The developing baby brain depends heavily on the thyroid hormones. If the mother has severe iodine deficiency, the fetus cannot receive adequate thyroid hormones. As a result, development becomes abnormal. Child may suffer poor intellectual development, learning disability, delayed milestones, and severe mental impairment. This is why the pregnant woman requires more iodine than the adults. Clinical pearl is that one of the simplest ways to protect baby's brain is ensuring adequate iodine intake during the pregnancy. Thyroid hormone is also maintain normal nervous system activity. Without adequate thyroid hormones, nerve function slows. Patient may complain of poor concentration, slow thinking, fatigue, and memory problems. This explains why hypothyroid patients often appear mentally low. Finally, the thyroid hormones helps to maintain the normal metabolic balance throughout the body. They influence growth, development, temperature regulation, heart function, digestion, and the muscle activity. This is why thyroid disease affects almost every organ system. Then we will see the first revision of this topic: total body iodine. is 20 milligram, stored 80% in thyroid gland. Adult requirement 100 to 150 milligram per dl, microgram per dl. And main sources: seafood, vegetable, drinking water, iodized salts. Absorption: small intestine. Storage: iodothyroglobulin. Excretion mainly by kidneys. Plasma proteins 4 to 10 microgram per dl. PBI decreases hypothyroidism, increases hyperthyroidism. Deficiency causes simple goiter and endemic goiter. And formation of main function is the formation of T3 and T4. T3 is more active than the T4, essential for fetal brain development and neurological function and normal metabolism. And that's the complete concept of the iodine from the mineral nutrition. Don't memorize isolated facts, always connect them through physiology. When you understand why iodine is needed, every disease, laboratory findings, and exam questions become much easier. If this lecture helped you understand the concept, subscribe because we are completing the other minerals nutrition